So hello there, welcome to another video, and this one is for the new healers, people who decided that they want to heal, they want to be that awesome person that heals everyone and keeps everyone alive. And I will mostly talk about some tips and tricks. I will talk about the mistakes that pretty much every healer has to make before he realizes, oh, this is not how any of this works. I should do this and I shouldn't do that. Because, for me at least, healing seems like the most intimidating thing to get into. It might be tanking for other people, but I've been tanking for so many years, I have no idea what it's like to be a brand new fresh tank. I just have no idea. But with healing, well, I healed a little bit in Cataclysm with my druid, then I was Boomkin throughout the entirety of Mists of Pandaria, and then I started healing again in Warlords of Draenor once Highmaul was released. And I think a big part of that is that if you screw up as a DPS, well, you just lost some DPS. If you screw up as a tank, you can still salvage that. But if you screw up as a healer, well, yeah, you have a couple of combat reses, but after that you're boned. You screw up, you start panicking, people start dying, and it all goes to shit. And with that said, the first thing I want to talk about is stress. Because stress is the worst thing for a healer. It's worse than running out of mana, it's worse than misclicking a huge cooldown like Trank or Incarnation. It's just the worst thing. Because once you're stressed, the likelihood of you making a mistake goes through the roof. And there is no upside to that. You don't get a buff that says stressed, increased healing by 20%. You shouldn't be stressed. You should be relaxed, because if you're relaxed, you will make good decisions, and if someone dies, it's like, well, yeah, someone fucked up, or I fucked up, and it just happened. We do have a combat res. You can't go through like a 3 or 4 hour raid without making mistakes. But the more you play, the fewer mistakes you will make, because you will learn from those mistakes, hopefully. Once you make a mistake, you shouldn't go, oh no, I'm the worst healer in the world. No, you should go, oh, shit. So if I do that, that doesn't work. That's a mistake. So I need to try something else. And if that doesn't work, try something else. Eventually, you will find out something that works. And you will gain knowledge, right? You will have this in your head. If something like this happens, I need to respond with this. And maybe if you get into another raid, there is a similar situation, and you already know how to deal with that. Because you already went through this situation with a different boss. But it was essentially the same situation. So now you have knowledge. If you can apply this knowledge, well, you have skill. Because skill is applied knowledge. And it's really hard to recognize those mistakes and to learn from them properly when you're stressed, right? Oh no, someone died. Oh shit, Billy died. This is bad. Oh shit, I just popped Trang. Oh no, oh no. Don't do that. Just sit back and be like, okay, shit, Billy is dead. Why is Billy dead? Because he got hit by ability A. So next time ability A comes in, I will try to throw Iron Bark on Billy. And you go through, you throw Iron Bark on Billy, and you'll be like, huh, okay, so Billy is an idiot. He can't survive this on his own. From now on, he's gonna get an Iron Bark because he's an idiot. And ta-da! Knowledge, applied, skill, and now Billy survives, and you can kill a boss. Simple as that. And believe it or not, Billy is in every single raid. You might think he's not, but he is. Am I right, healers? He's that guy. He is that guy. You can always throw rejuves on him, and they never overheal, because he's always taking damage from shit he's not supposed to take damage from. He can also be spotted on Operator Thogar, dead, under a train. So that's the first thing. Stress. Don't be stressed. Be relaxed. Listen to some music. And just be cool. Be cool. It's a game at the end of the day, so just be cool. It won't help anyone if you're stressed. It's just hurting your experience. Don't be stressed. Just be relaxed. And the more you play, the more of these situations you will fuck up, the more you will learn from them, and the fewer mistakes you will make in the future. It's as simple as that. The second thing I want to talk about is something I like to call the realization. Why? Well, when you're healing dungeons and battlegrounds and challenge modes or proving grounds, that's all nice. But once you step into raids, it's a huge step up. And everyone needs to realize that it's not 5 people doing their own thing on a healing toon. You need to work as a healing team. Because you are a healing team. You can't really be efficient if you have 5 people just doing their own thing. blowing cooldowns willy-nilly, blowing through their mana whenever they want to, not really coordinating and cooperating. That's not going to work. It might work for a couple of bosses, but once you get to the harder bosses, it's not going to work. You need to work as a team. You need to know what the other healers are capable of, what they're good at, what they're bad at, what you are capable of. And once you realize that you are not alone healing an entire raid, there are 4 other people that are trying to do the same thing, you start communicating and you start coming up with tactics and strategies. You start ordering cooldowns and all that good stuff. So instead of, let's just say, healing like mad through infesting spores on Brackenspore, you'll just have a shaman throw down a healing tide totem. And suddenly everyone saved up a bunch of mana because it's more efficient. Or on Beastlord Darmok. We, on Beastlord Darmok, use the tactic of Elec, then Wolf, and then the Wyvern. Alright? Why? Because using healing cooldowns on Tantrum is less mana expensive than healing people with Rend and Tear stacks. Alright? And since we are 4 healing it and 2 tanking it, we need as much mana as possible for that fight. So instead of healing people with Rend and Tear, we just have a rotation of healing cooldowns. And if there is a particularly nasty one, like if you do the Elec, Wolf, and Wyvern, you will get a Tantrum with the Savage Howl. On Mythic, that is. That's only on Mythic. So it's kind of irrelevant for this video because this is meant for new healers. But you get a particularly nasty one, right? You have a Tantrum, and in the middle of that Tantrum, you get a Savage Howl. So we have Trank for that, and we have a Spirit Link Totem, just in case someone is low on health, so they don't die. And we are synergizing, because the Spirit Link Totem brings everyone to equal health, and then my Tranquility brings them up. So that's what you start doing. This is what you start doing. You start coming up with your own ideas on how to survive certain things. Like, oh, we can drop a Priest Barrier over there, but we need something for that, so we can throw down a Spirit Link with Trank, which will be definitely enough. After that, we can have Aura Mastery with a Healing Stream Totem and a Healing Tide Totem, for instance. Or we can channel Divine Hymn. And you start making these little tactics inside of tactics, right? The entire raid needs to do something, but the healers need to do something to keep them alive. So you are executing this boss tactic, and you also have this healer rotation that you do. And when it all comes together, it is really satisfying and very rewarding to execute this properly. Once everyone's alive and you're like, okay, this is getting better. And, you start adding more and more things. And once again, you go through a fight, and let's just say 5 people die because of demolition on Blackhand. So we're like, okay, so we can't do it like this. We need to use a different cooldown, right? So as a druid, what I usually do is I pre-pop, and I'm the only one healing through massive demolitions on the first demolition. So I'm the only one. We don't have a Spirit Link Totem, we don't have a Healing Tide. So the way we decided to do it is I pop an Intellect Potion before the fight, which will last through like half the demolition. I will pop Heart of the Wild, and I will do damage until demolition comes in. Then I will get a bop from our Paladin, and I channel Trank. That's what we decided to do. You can do that with a Priest as well, right? But you will start developing these strategies and tactics, and it's really rewarding when it works. Right? You're like, okay, we can do this, and then it works. It's like, yeah, it works. Yeah. We decided to do that, and that was a really good decision. Of course, you will fuck up as well. We can try that, and it just doesn't work. So you try something else. Once again, it's the same thing. You try something, it fails, then you try something else. You can't be just like, it didn't work. That's not helping anyone. And the last thing I kind of want to fit into this category is the more you heal with your healing team, the more you will notice certain things. The more you will realize how they are doing things and how they are healing, and in what order they are healing people. So, this is a good example in my opinion. We have a Discipline Priest, and he's a fantastic Discipline Priest, I might add. Now, when big raid damage was about to hit the raid, the way he shields people on my raid frames is from the top left corner, then he goes to the right, then he goes down one, and once again goes from the left to the right. Now, I used to do the same things with my rejuve, which meant that my rejuves weren't doing anything really. Because by the time the raid damage hit us, we had 10 people with bubbles and rejuves and 10 people basically naked. And then we had to react to that and heal them up, which is something you don't want to do as a healer. You want to predict certain situations, and you essentially want to deal with problems before they become problems, right? When someone's about to take damage, he should already have HOTS on. So what I realized, or when I realized that this is how he does things, I started hotting people from the bottom right corner of my raid frames, and I went to the left. Then up one, and once again from right to the left. So by the time the raid damage hits the raid, people either have bubble or rejuice or both. And suddenly, I'm not wasting mana and people aren't dying. And that was a cool realization for me. And from that point, I always rejuve people from the bottom right corner to the left. The next thing I have on my list in front of me is actually kind of interesting, and it might sound weird to people who never healed a raid. And that thing is tank healing, and the fact that there isn't much tank healing actually going on in raids. And that might sound weird, right? Because when you think of a healer, it's the guy who's supposed to heal the tank. He is keeping thy tank alive by the power of love and healing cooldowns, for instance. But yeah, there isn't much tank healing going on in raids. Why? Well, because you have many different classes as healers. So you have druids, who have Life Bloom on the tank that's currently holding aggro, and they have Rejuve and Germination on both tanks, constantly dumping clear casting procs with regrowth on them. So they're just passively healing them on the side. Then you have Paladins with beacons on both tanks, so they are healing them all the time as well. You have Holy Priests with Renew, so they are healing them as well. You have Discipline Priest with bubbles on both tanks. If you're crazy enough, you might have Monks. I love Monks, although their healing is just too random for my liking. And you have Shamans with Riptide, and the occasional Chain Heal, and Totems. So tanks, well, they're kind of taken care of by default. You'll kind of learn this, and it's going to be at the back of your mind, like, yeah, keep HOTS on the tank, keep HOTS on the tank. Ooh, someone took damage, wild growth, keep HOTS on the tank. Oh, regrowth, throw it on the tank. So even though you might think that, oh, I need to keep the tank alive, you kind of do that by default. It will, as I've said, be at the back of your head, just keep HOTS on the tank, or keep beacons on the tank, or whatever, keep bubble on the tank. So that's kind of taken care of. If they take damage, well, everyone's going to turn around. Shaman's going to be like, who, bitches? Riptide. And Druid's going to be like, ooh, Swiftman, maybe Ironbark, or Sacrifice from a Paladin, or a Pain Suppression from a Priest. And, you know, if tanks take too much damage, they usually tend to say it like, oh, I'm about to take a shit ton of damage. Okay, Ironbark. Done. Right? Maybe, oh, he's taking damage again. Swiftman, oh my god. Tanks taking their damage all the time. Bloody hell. So, that's taken care of by default. Now, the next thing I have on my list is, if you're a druid, be a druid. If you're a discipline priest, be a discipline priest. If you're a paladin, be a paladin. Don't try to be anything else. And you might go, well, thank you for pointing that out, Captain Obvious, what? But it's true. This is a mistake that so many healers make. And let's just take an example with some DPS, because it's relatable. Okay, we have an Arcane Mage, someone who's really good at single target damage, and we have a Demonology Warlock, someone who's really good with AoE. You don't send the Arcane Mage to do AoE and the Demonology Warlock to do single target. You send the Arcane Mage to do single target because he's good at that, and you send the Demonology Warlock to do AoE because he's good at that. Alright, so if you have a fight where you have a shit ton of raid damage going on, and you need someone to heal it up, you don't send a Discipline Priest to do that. Because he's not efficient at that. He's not good at that. What he can do, however, is to reduce the initial blow of that attack, so people aren't taken as low. So he can shield people, but after that, you want Resto Druids, Resto Shamans, and Mistweaver Monks to heal those people. Because that priest, well, he's gonna burn more mana than those people, and he's gonna do less healing, which is not efficient and doesn't make sense. So instead of having this one discipline priest just desperately trying to heal everyone up, oh my god, so many buttons to press, you just have him absorb majority of the damage, or some of the damage up front, and then have other healers heal that up, because they're better at that. So don't be a druid if you're a priest. It's never worth it. And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is ground healing, and how important it is that you tell everyone in the raid to stand in ground healing if it's possible. In Mists of Pandaria, it wasn't that big of a deal because we had smart healing. which is spells like Wild Growth, Holy Radiance. They would heal people with the lowest health. But in Warlords of Draenor, we have something I like to call the not-so-smart healing, which is it just heals people who are missing health. So let's just say you have 10 people who are on 3% health, and you have 10 people on 90% health. If you cast Wild Growth, chances are those 6 Wild Growths will land on people who are on 90% health. That's with all AoE heals, pretty much. So what you want is those people who have 90% health to stand in the mushroom and healing rain, or the one that's from Holy Priest, I forgot the name of it, and they will be topped off, which means your AoE spells and your smart healing will land on people who need it. Okay, so every day, every month, every week, every minute, every second, tell your raid mates to standing ground healing if it's possible. The way I do it is I usually go, hey, I can see you. Name? So what? I'm not standing in shit. I can see you. I'm not standing in shit. Get in the fucking mushroom. And that's how I do it. So that's it from me. I hope this video was helpful for you. And I thank you all for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.